All right, what is up, everybody? This is Sparklefresh, and this is actually our very first episode of, I don't even know what I want to call this. Let's just call it Playing Lessons with Sparklefresh. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is giving you guys an insight on what I'm thinking, and my goal here is to try to help you become a better golfer and make this game more enjoyable. Golf is very, very, very challenging. I actually believe it to be the most challenging sport in the entire world. The things that you have to think about are absurd when you're playing real golf in real life. I mean, from how tight you have to hold your hands. You know, do you want a stronger left hand, a weaker left hand? What kind of club do you want to use? What position do you want that club to be within your stance? Do you want to hit it higher, shorter? Do you want to hit a cut shot? Do you want to hit a draw? Do you want your feet to be open? What is the grass like? Is it into the grain? Is it going down grain? Is it sidewind? Is the ball above your feet? Is it below your feet? You know, what do you have to hit it over? What's the wind like, at your level? What's the wind level like above the tree level? You know, what are the undulations in the green to the area that you're going to be hitting? What kind of shot do you want to leave yourself next time? The list goes on and on and on. And after you've been doing it your entire life, you can make these, decisions in milliseconds. Professional golfers, I mean, there's probably hundreds of things that go through their heads every single shot, but when they get back to pull that trigger, it all kind of goes away and you just trust yourself. So we're probably not going to be able to get to that level, but let's get going here. So we got a par 4, 400 yards. The pin is directly in front of us right here. There's two sides to this fairway. This side of the fairway isn't bad, but it would be a lot better if you could carry the bunker. Since we can't carry the bunker, if you really want to play it back, in this direction, you can. But I like being able to see the green. I like being able to see the flag. And for how hard, my player can hit it, this looks like a good spot. Because even if I miss hit it a little bit, it'll put me back here, and I will still have a, clear, direct shot at the flag with nothing to worry about. So the wind is blowing, only a couple miles an hour. It's not enough to really affect us. We're playing, we're on a tee box right now, so it's completely flat. The ball's teed up, and we are pretty much ready to go. So we'll just take a good crack at it.
Fly, you fools!
Now, if you see, I missed my marker a little bit on the left, so the ball will shoot off a little more to the right than where you're going. It's not going to be too much if it's still within the white area, but the more you're away from the center impact or the center strike zone, the more the ball will start off to that area. Now, if you can see right now, the ball is a tiny bit above my feet, so it's not going to affect how the ball, comes off too much, but the more the ball is above your feet, the more it will start off to the left at impact. So basically, if I was to take a full swing and the ball is above my feet, it will shoot off to the left. And that's something that you're going to have to compensate for. But because the wind is blowing slightly to the right now, that should completely offset that. So we're going to go up here. We're going to look at the hole. It's about 9 feet uphill. So we're going to have to play it a little bit farther. We've already established that our feet the ball being above our feet is kind of going to negate the wind a little bit, but the wind is going to play a small factor in where we have to hit it. Now, the next thing we want to look at is the grid on the green and which way the green is sloping. There's not much slope on this green, so it's wherever we leave ourselves isn't going to be too bad, but we can see that there is more up in this area. So if we leave ourselves short, we are going to have a putt coming to the hole that is going to have a little more slope to it, as opposed to if we left ourselves behind the hole, it's going to be a little more flat and it's going to be a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to be a little bit past the hole here. So we're going to aim a little bit past the hole. I'm going to put a little bit of backspin just to prevent the ball from rolling, and we're going to give it a go. Hopefully it works out for us.
Easier than a PhD.
All right, so perfect. It's a little bit past the hole, just where we wanted to be. We should have a relatively flat and straight putt here. As you can see, there's not much movement. One thing I like to note when putting on games like this is you always want to hit it a little bit harder than you think you need to, because you will come up short the majority of the time. And if you do hit it a little bit farther, it's usually not going to be, especially on short length putts, it's not going to affect the ball too terribly much. So I mean, it is sloping a little bit from right to left, not too much. I'm gonna keep my crosshair in the actual cup right here. It's not gonna be outside the cup, and I'm gonna hit it a little bit past the arrow. Right about there. It's going to have enough speed, and we're going to go directly in the center of the hole. Easy as pie.
Yes.
Results.
I know it's a lot to think about. I know there's a lot of stuff to take in. But if you can just, if you can begin to understand the thought process and at least take away a little bit, here and there, it is going to help you. And there's nothing wrong with, taking your time. I've taught a lot of my friends how to play golf games just so it's more enjoyable for both of us to play. And it takes them a little bit of time, and you just got to have some patience, just like golfing in real life. All right, so this is a little bit trickier. We have a par 5 here. You can see directly in front of us, if I go right here, we have a giant tree, which is in between us and the flagstick. So the more off to the left side, the better off we're going to be. But we also have these, 2 large trees here, and the wind is blowing a little bit in that direction. Now, when you're first starting off in this game, you're probably going to have to hit it in this direction over here. Play it a little more safe, and then you're going to have to work your way up in this direction, and it's going to be a 3-shot hole. It's going to take you 3 shots to get to the green. But I know that if I hit this shot right here, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to hit a couple tree limbs, and it's going to slow it down. But because of where the tree is located, it'll still more than likely land in the fairway. So I'm going to trust it. I'm going to give it a go. Because I was a little off to the right of the strike zone, it came off to the left. I hit that tree, but what do you know? It's still in the fairway. We got a great angle into the green, and we're going to give ourselves, the best chance we can for eagle. Now this shot it's a good amount uphill. So I'm going to bring this all the way up here. I could use a driver right now. The only issue with using a driver, and I just want to let you guys know this in case you try to hit it as far as you can every time. The higher you go up in your club, the smaller the strike zone becomes, and the less accurate you become. So if you don't hit that driver just perfect, you will end up short and or, off to the side almost every single time. But it's all a risk-reward thing. This hole, there's not a lot going on around here. It's a simple hole. There's no trouble really. So if you want to pull out the driver and go for it, be my guest. Now let's look at the green. We got a 3-wood in our hands, so we're not gonna try to play this too technically, because if we just get it anywhere in this vicinity and give ourselves a chance for eagle, we're gonna be happy. But we can see that it does slope a little bit from left to right in this direction. So ideally, what you want is you want to be on this side. You always want to be putting uphill. When you're putting downhill, it is going to be faster, it is going to break more, and it is going to be much more difficult. If you're at this angle right here, putting uphill, the ball will actually break a lot less than if you're at this point putting downhill. So that's something to note. Hopefully we'll get a putt like that at some point, and I'll get to show you guys. Not a lot of winds, but we'll play it anyways. We want to try to be on that side of the hole, but because we're using a 3-wood, it is going to be a little more difficult unless we hit it absolutely perfect. Going to go all the way with backspin, hopefully to just stop it a little bit sooner. We might hit that tree, actually. It's all right. We'll give it a go. Not the best shot. But, you know, as I was mentioning before, it's a par 5. So, you know, getting it on the green in 2 is a treat. You know, don't be too upset if you can't. Now, this is where you really need to kind of have an understanding when you're around the green. You know, it asked me for a normal shot. It asked me for a pitch shot, and it asked me for a chip shot. This isn't necessarily ideal for a chip shot because we're not close enough to the green. A chip shot is going to get the ball on the ground the soonest. What that means, it's going to be most like a putt. You're going to have the most control over it. You're going to have the best chance of making it in the hole. A normal shot is just going to be, you know, your typical normal shot, not a super high elevation. And a pitch shot is going to give you the highest elevation. So you're going to hit that ball way up in the air, and it's going to basically just stop directly where you hit it. And I'm gonna use the pitch shot, even though I don't feel like it's the best, you know, shot in this scenario, just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. We'll play the wind just a little bit. We want to be a little bit below the hole. It's uphill a smidge, but because the shot is so much shorter, it's not going to affect us nearly as much. So we'll just go right here, put some backspin on it,
Delightful.
and it should just kind of come up and just stop.
Great shot. For a birdie.
Super simple putt, straight uphill. Like I always said, you want to hit these much firmer. You see how far I went past the indicator right there? And it still kind of just trickles in. A lot of the people that I play with that don't know what's going on, they always try to aim it directly, you know, at that marker. Don't aim it at that marker. You want to hit it past it most of the time,
Results.
especially if you're going uphill. So I think we're just going to do one more hole. We're going to have little 3-hole segments here so things don't get, you know, too long and drawn out and complicated. We've got a short little par 4. I mean, this is simple. This doesn't take, you know, too much explanation. I can just kind of aim it right here and just go for it. I love that effect.
Easier than a PhD.
Right in the fairway. Not a lot of slope to the green either. But, you know, as I said before, we always want to be on this side for an easier putt. Although I can see you can see right here, there's a couple indicators that are moving in this direction, and there's a couple that are moving in this direction, and they're not moving very fast. So even if I land on this side of the cup, I shouldn't have anything to worry about because it is a very minimal slope. As you can see over here, this is a greater slope. You know, that's obviously a lot higher elevation than this point right here, where it kind of just flattens out. I feel like if I play this shot right in and about this area, the wind might carry it a little bit over for me, and we'll be sitting pretty. I hit that one a little bit shorter than I wanted to, but it should be okay.
Great. For a birdie.
The interesting thing about putting is that the firmer that you hit your putt, the less that it will break. And what that means is little putts like this, you could almost hit it directly in the hole if you had enough power. You don't want to hit it hard enough to where it'll bounce out of the hole. But I mean, I'll show you. I'll barely aim out of the hole. I'll give it a good wrap, and then it'll go right in. Not a lot of break to it. The less power that you give it, the more break that you have to play. And that's what really makes those, you know, downhill putts a lot more difficult. Because uphill putts, you can take a lot of the break out just by giving a little more power. Well, you know what? I think that is, you know, that's a good start. Nothing too difficult, you know, nothing too difficult to understand. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you show up for another episode. And even better yet, hopefully you guys add me as a friend. You know, I need some people to play on this game. Need some rivals. So let's challenge each other. Let's have a good time, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good day.